Hey everybody, we're on a little bit of a road trip today, and I wanted to talk to you about something I think is a little bit interesting, and that is what I like to call the modeler's tax. The idea behind that is that sometimes our hobby suppliers mark up what are actually everyday items in a craft store uh, for model railroading. And I just kind of wanted to show you around one of the stores that I go into quite a lot to get items that model railroaders typically pay a little bit more money for, but don't really need to. So let's go right in. All right, so here we are at the local Michael's. Let's go check it out. All right, so our first stop here in Michael's is to look at the sheet cork. Now, this stuff is normally the stuff that you hang on the wall, but it works really great for under large parts of the layout, and you can even use it in strip form under straight sections of track. The stuff's slightly shallower than normal cork, but that's sometimes an advantage, especially as a short line modeler when the grade of the track isn't normally as elevated as it could be on large main lines. All right, so here's a quick look at how I use that sheet cork. This whole yard here in Gang Mills is all sheet cork from Michael's. And again, it's a little bit thinner than your normal road bed, so you do have to take an orbital sander and kind of make a small gradient from the Midwest cork level down to the level of the sheet cork that you're using in your yards. But in my opinion, that's a pretty easy transition to make in order to save as much as you do using the sheet cork over the Midwest sheet cork. So worth it. Here's another place that I'm using that sheet cork, and you're actually also getting a bit of a sneak peek here into Geneva Yard as it sits. We are adding another stub end track, and to do that, we're using a little bit more of the sheet cork here. And just to get an idea of the process, you know, it does come in a big roll, so it can be a little finicky to fight with in order to get it to lay flat. But once you do, you know, it looks pretty good. This is actually some Midwest cork right next to it, and as you can see, you know, you're able to sand it down and get a pretty smooth transition in between the two. The big thing with this sheet cork is it doesn't seem to be as dense of a cork as the Midwest stuff, so I always am careful to make sure that I paint the sheet cork before I do anything else with it. I always put down a layer of, this is just regular brown bare house paint that's on it, and I do this on all of the sheet cork that I use just to be safe, just to make sure that you know, if there's ever any sort of spills, or when I'm putting down isopropyl or glue for ballast, that it's not going to soak through, eat into the cork or anything like that. So always paint it first, for sure. All right, so we're back in Michael's now, and it's important to note here that Michael's really isn't the cheapest place to get this plaster cloth. However, it is nice, especially if you are not in a town with a hobby shop, to know that your plaster cloth can be obtained at any sort of craft store. The value when it comes to plaster cloth is actually when you look elsewhere other than Woodland Scenics online. There's a ton of different places, including Amazon and art supply stores online, where you can order plaster cloth in bulk and get it for a relatively significant savings compared to both Woodland Scenics and the Michael's plaster cloth. I was actually in a situation when building the area along Seneca Lake where I was in a bind for plaster cloth, had ordered it online, but really needed to have it done quicker, so I ended up using quite a bit of the Michael's stuff, and it works great. So it's kind of a little bit hard to tell at this point, but this entire section of the layout was done using the plaster cloth from Michaels itself, not the plaster cloth from Woodland Scenics. There's a little bit just because I had some left over before I discovered how nice the stuff from Michaels worked out and how cheap it was. But for the most part, this is all the Michaels stuff. All right, so the final way we can avoid the modeler's tax is through being a little bit more creative with our high detail level scenery itself. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but have you ever gone on Scenic Express or any other scenery website and seen the prices that they want for those grass mats and the products that are supposed to spread out and cover your large areas of your layout? I've gone on there and not been very impressed with the prices. So through tips from other model railroaders, I've started making my own grass mats, and it's really not that hard. All you need is a static grass applicator, some static grass from one of those companies that offers static mats, or that offers grass mats, and you can make your own for a fraction of the price. So the grass that I'm using today is Hecky static grass extra large in an autumn color. Now the thing I like about the autumn color is actually not necessarily that it's autumn, even though I do model autumn, but it's that it's a very light color. And the thing that's nice about a light color such as this one is once the static grass mat itself is dry, you can kind of dry brush on variations in color pretty easily. You can spray paint on or airbrush on variations in color as well. You really got a lot of options as far as what you end up with as far as colors are concerned. Now, in addition to being able to paint on color, you also have the option to add a little bit of kind of blooming color or something along those lines with a flock and turf like this one from Scenic Express as well. And again, it adds kind of a flowering meadow type of look to your static grass mat for a fraction of the price that you're going to pay for ready-made mats. So you might be asking at this point, okay, I'm convinced I'll try to make my own mats, but how do I do it? It's really easy. All you need is paintbrush, a little bit of Mod Podge matte medium, and again the static grass and your static grass applicator, which I've got right here. Now, fun fact, I actually have a nickname for my static grass applicator, and that's Shocky, because it is about the cheapest static grass applicator that you can buy, and the on-off switch is actually reversed of what it should be, so if you're not careful, you can shock the crap out of yourself on accident, which I've done multiple times. It's not fun. So if you're going to get a static grass applicator, that's maybe one thing you don't necessarily want to skimp out on, because it's not really that fun getting shocked by it. But anyway, let's go into the process here. All I'm going to do is take a very thin layer of Mod Podge and brush it out onto a piece of wax paper. This is actually parchment paper. Apparently there's a difference. I don't know. And again, you can kind of get away with a thin layer here because all this is going to do is bond your static grass together, make it hold together. All right, so now I've got my static grass applicator. I've ensured that it actually genuinely is on for real. And I'm going to put down some static grass. All right, we got the excess cleaned off. I'm going to hit this with just a little bit of spray-on Super 77 adhesive here. That's just going to kind of allow the grass, as it normally would when you apply via a static grass applicator, to stay more upright as I'm handling it. You can also use hairspray for that. It doesn't have to be a Super 77 adhesive like this. The thing I do like about the spray-on, the Super 77 adhesive, is that it actually kind of keeps it this color. So myself modeling late fall and just after a frost, a lot of the ground tends to stay frosty looking. So I'll show you here really quickly just a finished piece of static grass mat that I made the other day. This was using a little bit shorter of a static grass blade, but as you can see, it just kind of pulls right off the back. You've got this nice hard backing, so the whole thing will stay together as you just pull parts apart like that. You can kind of shape it to be whatever shape you want. It usually stays pretty well upright as you're doing all this stuff, and you can just kind of wet the back with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol when you're going to plop it on. Apply just a little bit of white glue to the area where you're going to be applying it, and then kind of just blend it in with the rest of the scenery material you're using around it, and it works really well. It saves you a lot of money not buying the ready-made grass mats. All right, so continuing on the theme of ground covers, I've got to admit this next method is brand new to me, so if it's in the video, it means that it actually turned out well. I'm going to try it, and if this makes the cut, then I endorse the idea. But this came to me as an idea from a member of the Model Railroad Club I'm in, Genesee Society of Model Engineers. The gentleman suggested to me that for forest floor material, rather than paying the price for the Scenic Express forest floor blend or any sort of brown leaves, you can actually apparently take your sawdust clippings and those sorts of waste materials from any sort of woodwork you're doing, stick them in a food processor to process the shavings down to a smaller size, and use that as your forest floor material, which I'm really excited to try. So let's see how it's going to go. Also, don't tell my wife I've got her food processor and that this is what I'm doing. No, I'm just kidding. This is a different food processor than we normally use. All right, here we go. Yeah, I think we're having some pretty good luck. A lot of those larger pieces are, like I said, taking a little while to break down. But for the most part, we're left with a nice fine blend here. All right, so we're back, and I've stolen even more kitchen equipment here. Don't tell my wife, like I said. I don't know if this is really gonna work. We're gonna try it out and see what happens. I was getting a little bit concerned that I was going to go too far with the kind of processing of this, and I was going to get to a point where I had all dust. And I just want to see if I can kind of use this sifter to get the good stuff and leave some of the bigger material off to the side here. Yeah, I think that's working pretty well. And this bigger stuff, you know, you can really still use it a little sparingly, but you know, spread it around on a forest floor as kind of some fallen brush or something like that. All right, look at that. We've got a really fine material here. You may want to wear a mask or something along those lines, because there's definitely a little bit of dust happening, but that will work really great as a forest floor material, I think. Let's go see what it looks like on the layout. All right, so we're over here on the edge of the Seneca Lake scene, and as you can see, I've actually already got a little bit of the Scenic Express leaf litter forest floor blend down here, so this should be interesting to kind of get a good idea, compare the two different you know, ideals for this. All right, so first up is we're gonna put down a diluted glue mixture here. This is probably like 75% water and then 25% glue. It's a really light mixture. All right, so now we'll take our processed down wood shavings, sprinkle them on. Oh yeah. Gonna hit it with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol now, just so it'll take that glue a little easier. And then back in with a little bit of the diluted white glue. All right, and we'll let that dry. And you know, it actually just occurred to me just now that this glue itself can actually be counted in the way to avoid the modeler's tax as well. You know, that if for some reason, and I think this is a little bit more widely known by modelers, but if for some reason you're still using the Woodland Scenic Cement, that stuff is way overpriced. All you need to do is get yourself a jar of Mod Podge from your local Walmart or supply store and dilute it down with water. Again, I'm using like a 75% mixture, and I'm just using an empty Windex bottle, and it goes on great. Got a couple more trees here, so that forest floor makes sense. Even managed to work in a couple little pieces of the homemade grass mat that we created earlier, feathered in a little bit more of the forest floor material in there, the homemade stuff, and it's looking pretty good. Makes a lot of sense, and you know, doesn't cost a lot of money. We saved a good chunk of money today using materials that are all more readily available or lower cost than the ready-made alternative. So pretty happy with the results, like I said. And if you can think of any other ways that people can avoid that modeler's tax, feel free to let me know in the comments. I know actually super trees themselves are not a cheap item, and a lot of people have alternatives that grow in their region. So let me know what kind of plants you like to use for trees, those sorts of things, and any other tips and tricks that might help people try to save a couple bucks as they build a beautiful looking model railroad. That's it for this one, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe. Like I said, comment, leave a like, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.